Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Unchallenged, and in today's video we're going to be diving into an exciting update for our indie game called Heroes Downfall. I'm going to be introducing a brand new defensive ability that's sure to shake things up. We're going to go over a few recent changes that inadvertently broke an old mechanic for my Shadow Weaver class, why I've decided to leave that mechanic behind, and then we're going to stick around to explore the new defensive ability that we're going to be adding in order to enhance the overall gameplay for the game. So with that said, if you guys are brand new here to the channel, definitely go down below, give this video a big old thumbs up. That helps out the channel, helps out the channel, and also subscribe if you guys are interested in games and game development. And with that said, let's go ahead and get into the video. So really quickly, we'll go into the game here and we'll kind of showcase what exactly broke. So in the Arcane Weaver class, I recently added each class now gets introduced when they are entered into the game. Every class now gets a unique starter equipment that includes an offhand and a main hand weapon, accustomed to that specific class. Each class then gets gear specialty that increases their base stats when it's equipped. So for example, the Arcane Weaver, when his gear is equipped that he's wearing wands or talisman, his base stats increase. His attack increases by 2, his reflex by 1. The talismans that he equips in his offhands increases his defense by 1. Okay, so that is the premise for my change that I added into the game. Here we loot the corpse, we get a worn wand, we get that equipped. His attack goes up from 2 to 4 base. Here our defense is 1. We loot the corpse, we equip the talisman, and the talisman already comes with +1 defense, but because we're also wearing a talisman in our offhand, our base defense now gets boosted to 2. So here we are, we have our attack 4 plus a range of 1 to 3, and our defense is base 2 with the boost from the talisman of +1. Now we head upstairs and we can go into our first encounter. Now here, when I use the special ability, what I had previously, it was called Arcane Shield. And what the Arcane Shield would do, for the next 2 turns your defense is increased by 2. Now this would normally increase the base defense, bringing our total defense from 3 up to 5, but the way that my mechanic works with the items that I have, that mechanic no longer works. So what I'm going to be doing in this case, I went around and just kind of thought of different ideas that I could add into the game to the Arcane Weaver in order to give him a specific ability, a defensive ability that might scale better overall with the game. Right now, the Arcane Shield would give you a temporary boost to your defense by 2 for 2 turns. That doesn't scale end game wise. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is change his ability that allows the Arcane Weaver to be more defensive, not only in the beginning, because 2 defense in the beginning is a lot, but as you progress through the game where you're getting hit by enemies that are doing much more damage, then that 2 defense is not going to be too powerful. So in order to add a ability that now scales with the game, that is what we're going to go ahead and do. So I wrote down a whole bunch of different ideas that could kind of do something very similar. I want to keep the attack offensive, and I want to keep the defensive very defensive. I don't want to mix and match where, the defensive ability does something offensively. I want the offense to be attack, and I want the defense to be defense, right? So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to go ahead and stop this. And the way that we're going to go ahead and do this now is head into the script where I have my player abilities. Here's my devlog of all my notes that I keep along, of everything I've kind of done along the way, changes and different ideas and stuff like that. So there's all my notes there. But what we're going to be changing here is the Arcane Weaver's defensive ability. So when the button is pressed for the Arcane Weaver, it would automatically subtract 5 mana. It would boost my defense by 2. The ability active would become true, where it would be active for 2 turns. The ability countdown would begin counting down from 4. It's an ability countdown that would count down every turn. So every offensive and defensive turn, it would just kind of count down till it's 0, and then it would remove the buff. But that's all going to be removed. So instead of doing what it's currently doing, the old method, what we're going to go ahead and do is right here, we're going to go ahead and just skip the whole interaction. So the new ability that I'm going to be adding in is going to be called Arcane Tempest. And what I've wrote down here is that it's going to go ahead and warp time around you, briefly slowing. It's going to briefly slow enemies' attacks and allowing you to strike them again swiftly. So essentially, it'll just kind of slow time down, and then you'll be able to offensively hit them once again. And we're going to add that in. So we'll go ahead and remove the player's total defense. Like, we're not going to have to make all these calculations in here. So we'll go ahead and skip over that, and our player life isn't going to go down at all. Instead, what's going to happen here is we're going to just go ahead and say that this is the old method. So this is the old method. I'm still going to keep it around. I like having, some people don't like doing that where they, you know, when you get rid of something, you completely just delete it out. Sometimes I do that like at the very end, but during the in-between process, I like having that there as a reference of like what was there in the past. Okay, so what I've done now is I've copied the old text up into the new area. The arcane, the ability that we're going to be using here is Arcane, whoop, we gotta actually do that correctly, Arcane Tempest. And I've already kind of wrote up here what I want it to say. So I'm going to go ahead in the first line. We're going to first say that, yeah, we're taking away mana. And then we're going to go ahead in the first sentence say, with a wave of your hand, you invoke the power of arcane time manipulation. In the second sentence, we're going to go ahead and say that the fabric of reality bends around you, slowing the approach of enemy attacks. And then in our last line here, we're going to go ahead and... So we're going to say, in the brief calm, you are able to seize the opportunity to strike again swiftly. And then we don't need to add any of this damage down here because that all gets nullified. So go ahead and comment all of that out. And go just like that. Yeah. And then, I think that's all I wrote down for that one. Let's go ahead and just make sure that everything is dress right dress. And the brief calm, you are able to seize the opportunity to strike again swiftly. Okay. Arcane Tempest. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save this script. And I'm going to go ahead and take this ability and go to my player info, and we're going to update the Arcane Weaver here with his ability. His new ability here. So his new ability, his defensive ability, we'll go ahead and update this. We'll go ahead and take the string, space down, comment the original one out, and we're going to go ahead and name this one Arcane Tempest. And then we're going to go ahead and copy and paste my thing there. Warps time around you, briefly slowing enemy attacks and allowing you to strike again swiftly. I'm just going to delete swiftly because I don't want to make the sentences too long, but I want to make them long enough that they have enough detail in there. I think that was the only area that we kind of mentioned that. So we'll go ahead and save all of that, and we'll go back into the game. And now, with our changes from what it did to now what it does, we'll go ahead and hit play. And go back into Arcane Weaver, go into our character. We'll see here that our play information, our special defense now shows Arcane Tempest, warps time around you, briefly slowing enemy attacks and allowing you to strike again. So now, if we head upstairs, collect our wand, collect our talisman, and then head upstairs once again, we go into the battle encounter. So we got a critical hit. We did 11 damage to this guy. Now, if you use our special defense right here, boom, you use the ability Arcane Tempest, -5 mana. You, with a wave of your hand, you invoke the power of arcane time manipulation. The fabric of reality bends around you, slowing the approach of enemy attacks. In a brief calm, you are able to seize the opportunity to strike again swiftly. So see, as we are now in the offensive stance now, and we completely bypassed, like we froze the guy in place. He's frozen in place, and now we are able to attack once again. And boom, we hit him with another 6 damage. The human knight withstood one of the attack, doing a total of 5 damage, and we defeated the human knight. So that is the battle, and what we did now is we had an old ability that didn't work with the changes that we recently implemented by adding new weapons and offhands that benefited each class. And what we did instead was came up with a solutional defensive ability that would scale better end game by just increasing defense a bit, because we're on floor 2. As the enemies continue to scale and become stronger as we're progressing through the dungeons, these guys will become a lot stronger than having, 1 to 3 damage. They'll begin to do 5 to 10 damage, 10 to 20 damage, 20 to 30 damage, right? That 2 defense is not going to be able to scale very well, versus, hey, now we are able to completely bypass this guy's offensive attack for a single turn, giving us that opportunity to come in and strike with, something stronger, such as our offensive ability called Arcane Missiles, where it completely bypasses armor and does raw damage. So here we did 14 damage, just pure arcane energy, and bypass the armor, any sort of defense that they may have had. So yeah, that is the process there. As far as we broke something, we had a solution for the defensive ability. We implemented something and it broke something else. We came up with a solution as far as ways to add something into the game that could be scaled better than what we had previously added, or what I'd previously added, and then made the change quickly, and it's already been implemented just like that. So that is going to be it for this video. Let me know down in the comment section below if you guys enjoyed this type of content where we saw and fixed a quick mistake and we're able to kind of showcase that publicly, and we could do a few more of these in the future. So with that said, if you guys are brand new here to the channel, definitely go down below and give this video a big old thumbs up, and subscribe for if you guys enjoy games and game development, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.